Turn one soul ring.
Wait, we're recording?
Oh boy.
Oh my god. Don't.
Okay, so the set contains, well, I guess I could say this later, but
No, you gotta say it now.
okay, the set contains 361 regular cards,
Okay.
and then the 6 new commander deck cards are numbered 362 to 367, and then the commander deck reprints are 368 to 511.
Okay, so they're including those in the overall set number.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does make sense. Well, we'll be talking about those pretty soon. Are you guys, I don't know if you guys have been following local news in Manitoba, but they earlier this week, they were talking about instituting a curfew in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then the police were like, no, we're not going to. First of all, they were like, no, we're not going to enforce that. And also, how would we enforce that? And then the RCMP said the same thing. And then Brian Palliser was on, I watched a live stream on YouTube today, and he was like, yeah, we're not doing the curfew because they also did a survey, and Manitobans are like, nah, we don't want a curfew.
So we can just say no, we don't want something, and they just don't do it.
Well, they put
vote on.
vote on it. They put up like a survey, and it was like tell us what you think about this curfew idea, or like I didn't look at it, but it was like how would you implement this curfew, or I don't know, how would you enforce this curfew? And people are like, no, don't do a curfew.
Yeah, when has any population ever said, yeah, do a curfew, great idea?
No,
I mean, I know.
No, exactly.
Seattle had a curfew.
I don't know. It's Our
Yeah,
pandemic
so my friend who
response
lives in
has been
Seattle, they had a
interesting.
curfew.
Due to COVID?
Due to riots.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And do you think the government polled the citizens and asked, hey, do you think a curfew would be nice?
No, they just instituted a curfew.
didn't.
That's so that's so Canadian, being like, hey, do you guys want it? We might do a curfew. What do you guys think?
No.
No. Okay. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
It's like the reason for the curfew is because everyone's being friggin' idiots. So just do the curfew. I don't know. Whatever.
It's like, oh, they don't want to do a curfew, so we're just going to not do a curfew and hope these COVID numbers go down.
Yeah. I think that was on the same day that Palliser asked for, called on volunteers for testing sites.
Yeah, it was. And
as they're actively closing businesses.
Yeah, and he's also referring to himself as the stern daddy, and it's just and they also released this ad today about it was like a reduced contacts COVID ad, and after the ad played, he was broken up and crying, and everybody has a different opinion about this, but I don't want my politicians to get emotional. I think that's just a sign of just somebody that I just can't trust in an emotional situation if you're getting emotional. So anyways, I think we should just, COVID's a problem. Let's start the show. This is
Good start.
This is Turn One Soul Ring. I'm Kevin.
Hey, I'm Eric.
And I'm Riley.
And today on the show, we are going to be starting our Commander Legends set review. As usual, we're going to be going through the cards in Wooburg order, and then we'll get to gold, colorless, and land cards. I think today we're probably just going to get through white and blue because there's a ton of cards in this set. We're not going to go through all the cards. We're just going to talk about the cards that we're interested in talking about. But before we get to that, Eric, how can listeners get in touch with us?
They can always find us on Instagram at Turn One Soul Ring the podcast. Also, if you want to message us directly, hit us up on the Gmail at Turn One Soul Ring the podcast at gmail.com. And then also catch us over on YouTube. We're putting up everything up on there. So just Turn One Soul Ring the podcast will help you find us the easiest. And also, if you want to support us, we do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/TurnOneSoulRing. Check us out.
Okay, so let's just kick this off with our first white card, which is
We're going.
Achroma Vision of Ixidor. It's 5 and 2 white for a 6/6 legendary angel. It has flying, first strike, vigilance, and trample. At the beginning of each combat until end of turn, each other creature you control gets +1/+1 if it has flying, +1/+1 if it has first strike, and so on for double strike, death touch, haste, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, menace, protection, reach, trample, vigilance, and partner. And it also has partner. I feel like you could have just said and so on after that, like, and, you know, and so on.
I do love that and so on statement. It's just like, we don't have enough space for this.
Yeah, like what if they just put like for each keyword they get +1/+1.
This would be great in whatever that what's the black, white, and green color combination? Abzan. This would be great in that Abzan commander deck, that Ikoria commander deck that we reviewed and upgraded.
Oh yeah.
Just all that like cares about keywords commander.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and it has a ton of keywords itself. So
yeah, get this in the graveyard.
Yeah, exactly.
It also pairs really well with Odric, Lunarch Marshal.
Oh, absolutely.
Ooh,
yeah.
Because you're just giving all those creatures all those keywords, and then they all get what, like +6/+6? Seems pretty good.
Yeah, that is actually really intense. I like that as a finisher.
Yeah, and like, you know, you could have this as a commander, have this as a partner commander, but you could also throw this in like a white weenie Rick Grimes steadfast leader deck, just like pump up all your humans.
Pump up all your wieners.
Yeah.
You know
That's
that
what they're called, right?
I'm looking at it though. Odric Lunarch Marshal also mentions Skulk, which Chroma doesn't.
Ooh.
Where's the Skulk?
That's definitely a flavor miss. I think more angels should have Skulk.
Yeah.
Skulk was also just like a mechanical fail.
Oh, my 6/6 could be blocked by things smaller than it. Damn.
Right, so our next card is Akroma's Will. It's 3 and a white for an instant. Choose one. If you control a commander as you cast the spell, you may choose both. Creatures you control gain flying, vigilance, and double strike until end of turn. And creatures you control gain lifelink, indestructible, and protection from all colors until end of turn. I love this card.
This card is amazing.
It's so amazing.
This card is actually just amazing. Like a 4-mana finisher, just boom.
Yeah, like it's a finisher, but then also if someone's like wrathing and trying to protect your board, it works in that situation as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
like, oh man.
Yeah. It definitely depends on the judge though, with the indestructible clause.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but what about protection from all colors, Kev?
Well, I don't know if a Wrath of God would get that. That's the thing.
You can still be targeted by colorless stuff.
Ooh, gotcha. And yeah, which means Devoid's going to get it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
watch out for Devoid.
But yeah, out of
crazy mechanic.
Out of the cycle of these cards, this will cycle, this one's definitely one of the higher tier ones. It just has so much flexibility, and even if you don't have a commander, choosing either one of these, you're just going to be in scenarios so often where you're going to want to choose either one of these, and you're going to be happy to do it.
Yeah, in terms of power, this one's definitely one of the best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just like
it's not my favorite, but it's definitely like a really good card.
Yeah, just like it just seems entirely redundant to give your creatures flying, indestructible, protection from all colors. Like, how could somebody possibly block these creatures? Plus, they all have double strike. Like, yeah, if you have any board presence, this is gonna wreck somebody's day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I just love that the artwork is like a bunch of like soldiers or paladin looking guys, people riding around on cats, and it's like that image is just like how we just trample over everything. Like ride around on a big cat and your problems are solved.
Yeah, how are you gonna stop a cat?
Stuff like cougar, jaguar, lion.
Well, there's probably a tiger in like the midst back there, like all those guys.
Thank you.
Probably they're in there, I'm sure. Yeah.
It's gotta be at least one.
So our next card is Archon of Coronation. It's 4 white for a 5/5 Archon with flying. When it enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. And in case anybody forgot what the Monarch is, when you are the Monarch, you get to draw a card at the beginning of your end step. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
And as long as you're the Monarch, damage doesn't cause you to lose life.
Oh, I guess to finish off the Monarchy ability, somebody has to deal combat damage to you to become the Monarch.
Right.
But
I guess this time around we'll probably get fixed Monarch tokens, because that was the whole thing with Conspiracy 2, where the Monarch tokens were they were grammatically incorrect.
oh, really?
Yeah, every single token. It was I'd have to go into a box and get a Monarch token, but it was anyways, they were grammatically incorrect, and it was every single token. But I suppose this time around we'll get these new tokens, and those old tokens are probably going to go up in value because they're like misprints essentially. But anyways, what do you guys think about this card, Archon of Coronation?
Oh, well, first of all, I love the Monarch mechanic, and it's awesome to see it being highlighted in the set. There's a ton of new Monarch cards that I am excited for. Notably with this card, it does say as long as you're the Monarch, damage doesn't cause you to lose life. Of course, when you take that hit, you don't lose the life, but notably you still take the hit. So you would still lose the Monarchy if somebody hits you and you're the Monarch. And it does note it in the reminder text here. But just to be clear, it doesn't prevent damage. It just says it doesn't cause you to lose life. So after that instance, somebody can swing at you for as much as they want and get the Monarchy, but it does no damage, which is a nice perk when you're the Monarch, because usually you have a target on your head.
Yeah, you want that card draw.
And then this being a nice evasive body, you can likely swing in, get the Monarchy again, and then draw on your end step. So I think it's really, really synergistic with itself. It's pretty cool.
But of course, if somebody even has like a creature with first strike or double strike, they can just swing in with their team. The first strike damage happens. They take the Monarchy, and then you still take damage.
Yeah, for the second, for the normal damage step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the Monarch too. I'm glad to see it back. In our Commander League, we go back and listen to I think it's episode 20, where we sort of explain the way we do everything. And I think at that time we weren't doing this, but we were still choosing the points that we would play with in a given session. And part of what we do now is we roll a 6-sided dice, because we play with 6 achievable points, and whatever the dice roll is, the Monarch gets attributed to that point, and whoever gets that point first takes the Monarchy. Or at least that's how we did it at one time. Is that it?
Yeah,
I feel like it's been so long since we played Magic that I can't. Do we do it differently now?
Yeah, we do it so the first achievement unlocked is awarded the Monarchy.
That's right. Yes, but yeah, still the fact remains, like, we just like that kind of encouraging combat is really something that I think we all enjoy in Commander.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
So our next card is Arden, Intrepid Archaeologist. It's 2 and a white for a 2/2 legendary creature, Core Scout. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may attach any number of auras and equipment you control to target permanent or player, and it has partner.
This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah. So it's nice that it's not just itself. You get to target like any permanent or player that you control.
Well, no, it's
any permanent or player, yeah.
Yeah. It just has to be an equipment or an aura that you control.
You own.
Yeah, so if you had a Curse of Exhaustion on Riley and Eric was getting out of hand, you just move that over to Curse of Exhaustion and move it over to Eric, and then he stops getting out of hand.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a really cool space to build this partner commander with, is curses in mind. But I also like this guy as kind of a secondary commander for Balon Wandering Knight, just as another kind of fail case scenario. If Balon just gets hated out of the game, then you've got Arden as backup to take all the equipment that you have on the battlefield and stick it onto Arden or another imposing creature and go to town.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I use Balan in Ainsley's SRAM deck as a secondary commander. So this guy might be a tertiary commander in that deck.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's nice and low on the curve too for SRAM as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because Balan's 4. I don't like. I kind of like capping it at 3,
With an
but Balan's
activated
so good that he makes the cut.
Yeah, Blonde's pretty spicy.
Next up, we have Armored Skyhunter. It's 3 and a white for a 3/3 Cat Knight with flying. Whenever Armored Skyhunter attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may put an aura or equipment card from among them onto the battlefield. If an equipment is put onto the battlefield this way, you may attach it to a creature you control. Put the rest of those cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. Man, that's nice. Just getting to attach it right away. Just makes me feel like it's from Zendikar Rising.
Yeah,
of course, it's on the attack trigger.
Yeah. So that's, you just get to equip it at instant speed, which is always nice. Or casting an aura at instant speed, essentially, is always nice.
It's not cast, but, you still get it on the creature for free. So
yeah,
I'm not going to complain.
Looking for that, like, Colossal Hammer. Or Eldrazi Conscription.
If you get the Colossal Hammer and you put it on your Armored Skyhunter, it loses flying.
Oh, no!
Yeah, they can just chump block for days.
Yeah, it just becomes a 13/13 at that point.
Only a 13/13.
Yeah.
Next up, we have our first reprint, Austere Command. It's 4 white for a sorcery. Choose 2. Destroy all artifacts, destroy all enchantments, destroy all creatures with converted mana cost 3 or less, and destroy all creatures with converted mana cost 4 or greater. Fantastic reprint, fantastic removal spell. You put it in your white decks.
This is one of my all-time favorite Wraths. It's
so flexible.
So good with all the choices.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love this card. This was reprinted last in Iconic Masters, and it was creeping up. It's like $10 or $12 now, and this being reprinted at Rare is gonna knock it back down again. And I think we're all on board for keeping the staples like this as low on the financial curve as possible.
Yeah, and really, when a card destroys all enchantments, there's not much that does that. So
yeah,
good stuff
with this level of flexibility.
Yeah. Because otherwise we have like Cleansing Nova, which is like 3 white, and you can destroy all creatures or destroy all artifacts and enchantments. But yeah,
I forgot about Cleansing Nova.
Austere Command for a
fantastic.
Wrath, for that 1 extra mana to have this kind of flexibility is just, it's so good. If you've never played with Austere Command, just put it in your white decks.
It's really interesting how you can also kind of manipulate the board because of the CMC of the 2 different choices for destroying creatures, so that can make some unique situations as well. So that's what's really neat about this card.
Yeah, and exactly, it can be a one-sided board wipe.
Yeah, totally.
Next up, we have Court of Grace. This is also part of a cycle. It's 2 white for an enchantment. When Court of Grace enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. If you're the monarch, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying instead. I feel like they should have given the creature token vigilance, do the whole Sarah Angel thing, but maybe that's asking too much.
They should have. You're right.
Yeah, that would have been good. I mean, probably would have been a way stronger card, but but I do like, again, it's a monarch card that synergizes very well with itself in the sense that you get that 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying if you're not the monarch, and it gives you an opportunity to, well, I guess in a turn cycle from now, once it doesn't have summoning sickness, gives you an opportunity to swing in and take the monarchy back. So I do like that.
And that's kind of my problem with this cycle of cards. It's an upkeep trigger, and the set is it's a commander draft set, so it's designed to be multiplayer. And after the dust settles on that, we're going to be playing these cards in commander, and I think it would have been better if it was an end step trigger, because if we're trying to like that would synergize well with a monarch, it would be flavorful, and also we're trying to induce combat, but if you're not sure if you're going to be the monarch on upkeep, it might not be as enticing to attack to get this trigger. So I think that is a little bit of a miss when it comes to these cards. But like I said earlier, I'm on board for anything that does entice people to want to get the Monarch. Next up, we have another reprint, Generous Gift. It's 2 and a white for an instant, destroy target permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 green elephant creature token. It's great.
The best presents are impossible to regift.
They really are.
They regifted us this with this reprint. So
There you go.
That's very true.
good card.
Yep.
Good
Solid
card.
card.
Solid card. This is great as a reprint. It was actually getting up there in price, so it's good to see that this is they reprinted this here.
Yeah, especially the foils were getting very pricey. So this is going to help because it has a collector's booster set. And, however you feel about the collector's boosters, they bring down those foil prices.
Yay.
Next up, we have Keeper of the Accord. It's 3 and a white for a 3/4 human. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, if that player controls more creatures than you, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, if that player controls more lands than you may search your library for a basic plains card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. Well, I say it like that because you just couldn't have said planes. Come on, it's already a hoop you have to jump through. It's got to be basic. Come on.
I do like that it says every each opponent's end
Each
step.
opponent's?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is nice. Yeah,
Yeah, that's nice.
but you're gonna have to be really behind. You'd have to be really behind with lands, or a player would have to be really ahead with lands for you to get the or your opponents to get the lands on every upkeep. The creatures aren't as impactful, but the lands are a lot more.
And definitely if you have that green player that's ramping, that's a good sign for you because then you also every turn are going to get a plains out of your deck. So
Yeah, basic planes.
Yeah.
that's basic plains.
and how many planes do you want before you feel satisfied with this paying off? 2?
Yeah, 2 or 3. I think.
I think yeah.
I think you could get there. I mean, you're playing white. You're going to be behind.
Yeah, but
And it is nice because there are other effects in white that put the lands into your hand, and this is going onto the battlefield. So
yeah,
that is good.
that's a very good point actually.
Yeah, and you get a 3/4 body, which is nothing to shake a stick at. It's a serviceable body.
Survives bolt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean you can trade off your little dinky 1/1s to hopefully generate a few more 1/1s. So there's extra little bits of gravy there too. So
Yeah.
I'm a fan of it.
Yeah,
I think there's just enough value there.
You could service that body with gravy till the cows come home.
There's a lot of little value that this kind of
yeah.
the triggers are a little bit of value, but if you get a lot of that little bit, then you are kind of getting something worth playing.
Yeah.
I guess I just want
More power.
Yes. To make a long story short, yeah. But like Smothering Tithe, it's like your opponents are drawing cards and you get ramp. I guess cards like this just don't make me feel that good because it's like, hey, if you're not doing as well as your opponents, I'm gonna throw you a bone, and that's just been White's thing. So I think the Smothering Tithe kind of tax effect could be White's thing in terms of ramp or card draw, but or creating creature tokens in the case of Keeper of the Accord. But it's like, hey, if you're not doing that good, you can get something. But they'll figure it out, I guess.
Yeah, why couldn't it be like Tendershoe Dryad? Every single upkeep you just get a 1/1.
Exactly. Every single upkeep you get a 1/1, and every single upkeep you get a basic plains tapped.
Yeah.
Because if every color was green, we'd only have green.
Okay, but Tendershoe Dryad pumps them when you have the City's Blessing.
Right.
Is that what that's called?
Yeah. City's Blessing.
Yep.
Yes. Cool. I know magic. But this one wouldn't do that, right? So it's still, a little underpowered.
I don't know. I think this is a nice role player, and I think it's gonna do enough to make me feel happy about including it in a deck. I don't think it's gonna blow my socks off by any means, but
No.
I still think this is a definite step in the right direction for White, even though I'm not a big fan of catch-up mechanics, but I think there's enough incremental value here that you're probably going to be happy with this.
Speaking of bad cards, and this is kind of a sidestep here, I'm watching. I consume a fair bit of Pokemon content, and Pokemon, it's my understanding, is not a draftable. Like the booster packs are not draftable. That's not part of the game design.
I think Magic is the only trading card game that has draft.
Well, Magic is the best trading card game, so that makes sense.
I could be wrong, but I know Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, the other two most popular ones, do not have it. Maybe there's some smaller ones out there that do, but I think making a draft or a card game draftable is much more difficult than just making a card game work.
Yeah, and guys, I know a complaint about like draft gameplay, but like when we're like actively drafting, that is one of my favorite things in Magic to do. I just really want to get better at it because I'm terrible. But
just keep playing.
yeah, no, that's why I put the cube together, because I just want to get good at it. But yeah, Pokemon not being a draftable game, my question is, why are there bad cards in Pokemon sets? Why are there cards that don't see standard play or extended play? I think it's maybe the format. And then they have another format. Like, why are there cards that don't see competitive play if you don't have to worry about drafting? Because that's part of Magic. Like, that's kind of why we see some of the cards that we see that aren't the most ideal, and we're going to see that in this set, where the cards are clearly for drafting and not even necessarily for commander play. But if you're just making a set for standard, then why are there any cards that don't see standard play? And maybe that's just a rhetorical question. I don't know.
Yeah, I think if you made all bombs all the time, there's going to be stuff that settles to the bottom that's not going to see play, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's just all a matter of perspective. Of course, like there's likely cards in there that are just like total garbage no matter the context. But I think that's just part of the challenge of trying to make a balanced and interesting game, is trying to find cards that are strong role players and find cards that are strong cards inherently, right?
Yeah.
And
Also, like,
trying to
you can't
balance all
just
those
have
synergies.
all those just bombs. Like when you open a booster pack, right? You're like, if you just always had good stuff, there wouldn't be that adrenaline of, oh, do I get something good here or something?
Yeah, that's true.
A little gambling.
And the gambling thing.
The gambling thing. Though it's not gambling, guys.
No, it's not gambling.
Remember?
No.
You still get a product.
and also with Pokemon, you do get the you do have the like the sealed events, or like the pre-release events where you get the build and battle box, where unlike Magic where you get 6 packs for sealed, you get I think 4 packs in a build and battle box, and then you get a pack of cards with doubles and triples, so that you can build a functioning deck, because the packs obviously don't
I think they're like core. It's like having core cards like in Hearthstone. They kind of
Hi, welcome to Turn 1 Pokemon, where we talk about all your Pokemon needs.
Sorry. I've just been watching a lot of Pokemon content lately, and I was just wondering why there are bad cards in sets. But let's move on to the next card here. We have Kethis Sunmane Familiar. It's 1 and a white for a legend. Keleth. It's legendary. It's 1 and a white for a legendary creature. 1/1. It's a horse. And whenever a commander you control attacks, put a 1/1 counter on it, and it has partner.
Kethis, the hidden horse.
It is funny that it's a legendary creature horse.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of horses.
I do like all the birds flying around in this art here.
I like birds.
Yeah, it's Jesper Icing. He's been doing Magic art since the early days.
Mm-hmm. She chooses her riders carefully and bears them to glory in battle after battle.
Yeah, she's like Seabiscuit.
She's a trusty horse. I'm a big fan of this though. Like mono white aggro. Come on, choo choo.
Yeah, let's go Acroma and Keleth. There we go.
Partner it up.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want a 7-drop in my command zone for mono white aggro. I'm going low to the ground here. Come on.
That's your bomb though. That's like your
yeah,
finisher.
exactly.
Yeah, I guess so.
You have your finisher in your commander slot.
There's some other white partner commanders that have come in this set though.
There's other white partners?
Of course.
I'm sorry.
So next up, we have another reprint. We have Core Cartographer. It's 3 and a white for a 2/2 Core Scout. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a Plains card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. So this is one of the only, pure white ramp cards. I love this card. White is also really good at blinking things, so it's not gonna be that hard to blink this card in a commander deck that wants to do this. I used to run this in my Brago deck, and I got a lot of Plains cards onto the battlefield, and sometimes they were hollowed fountains because this doesn't say basic Plains.
Sometimes.
This was just a card that was, I think, approaching a couple of bucks, and now it's going to be like less than 25 cents again. So if you want a pure white ramp card, here it is.
Get your Core Cartographers now.
Next up, we have Livio, Oathsworn Sentinel. He is 1 and a white for a 2/2 legendary human knight. He has 2 activated abilities. The first one is 1 and a white. Choose another target creature. Its controller may exile it with an Aegis counter on it. And his other ability is 2 and a white and tap. Return all exiled cards with Aegis counters on them to the battlefield under their owner's control. And he has partner.
Hey, look at.
Yeah, he's pretty low to the ground.
White legendary with partner. I don't know. I don't know how to evaluate this card.
Well, you could definitely exile Core Cartographer.
Yes, you could.
I'm kidding.
I guess the ability is repeatable, but to invest 5 mana a turn just to return your Core Cartographer, it just doesn't seem.
Well, I think
doesn't seem optimal.
I mean, the way that I look at this card is, in Commander, you can use this first ability to protect your creatures if they get targeted with removal spells or the like, or you can use it politically to protect your opponent's creatures, and then over time, you can get a big payoff after doing that and return all the exiled cards to the battlefield, like rinse and repeat. Or, the more expensive thing is to just maybe do that every turn cycle. Not what I just described, but exile one creature and then bring it back and get that ability. But I'm sort of looking at that first ability as either protection or political power.
Yeah. And I guess if this is your commander, nice thing about its first ability is it puts an Aegis counter on that card, right? It's not dependent on this object in the game. So if you were to protect your board from a board wipe by exiling a bunch of them and putting Aegis counters on them, and then later you bring Livio back from the command zone and use its second ability to return all of those cards, they all come back because it's not linked to Livio himself, it's linked to the Aegis counters.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, that's a really good point.
That's exactly why I really like this card. I thought that was kind of powerful, just having like a repeatable source to protect your board in your command zone. You can kind of like slowly, like obviously it does require a lot of mana to be able to put Aegis counters on all of your stuff, but you can even get to a point where you're like, there's a board wipe, you save some things, play some more stuff out, play your commander. Maybe there's another board wipe, save some more things, and then in a couple times bring it all back out. Like,
yeah, that's backbreaking.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
And that first ability is just a mana sink. It's just one white colon, so you can just keep. In the case of a board wipe, you can just like boom, boom, boom. If you have 6 mana, you can save 3 creatures.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
But then also like it is fun to have something political like this too, that you can. If your opponent really wants your help, you can help them out.
Yeah, just be like, hey, your thing's getting swords right now, but I can help you if you don't do this.
No, I just want the life.
No, I want the
No,
life.
I need
I
that
want that
life.
life.
I need that life. It's like, okay, I get it. You're a life gain deck, but you know, there are other, there are things, sometimes there are things that are more important than life. I mean, in Magic, there really isn't, but
No,
you know,
I need that
I need
life.
the life.
Life is the most important resource in Magic.
Yeah, you got to preserve your life at all cost.
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, if you win at 40 life or 1 life, you know, you still win.
You win more though.
You do
Yeah,
win
yeah,
more. Yeah, you got me
You
there.
notably win more. All right.
Next
Oh,
up, we
shit.
have Promise of Tomorrow. It's 2 and a white for an enchantment. Whenever a creature you control dies, exile it. At the beginning of each end step, if you control no creatures, sacrifice Promise of Tomorrow and return all cards exiled with it to the battlefield under your control. Man, Seb McKinnon coming in hot with this art.
Oh,
Yeah.
Man, he's good.
Seb McKinnon, easily my favorite Magic artist.
Death can
And
wait.
This card is fun as hell.
Yeah, like again, like we have another card that's like protecting our board in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And it is nice that like there are effects out there that do exile enchantments, but it is a more rare thing to see that. So in a lot of cases, you're kind of safe.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. For the longest time, one of the things that White did best was maintaining your board state of creatures by, you know, giving them indestructible. And this is almost better because you can bring them back. So if they have enter the battlefield effects, you're going to get all of those too.
Mm-hmm. And notably, it's cumulative, right? So if people are picking off your creatures one by one, and then next thing you know, there's a big board wipe in a couple turns. This is like putting everything under it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, it's an enchantment. It can be removed just like anything else, but it's an enchantment, so it's more difficult than most permanents to remove. Well, I mean, unless you're running black.
No, dude, feed the swarm.
But yeah, this card is fun because not only like, of course, you have other 3-mana options that can help protect you against a board wipe by giving your things indestructible until end of turn. But this gives you enter the battlefield abilities. And like I said, it can help over the course of time. You could even combine it with your own sacrifice abilities if you want to sacrifice your board to get this effect out of it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of fun things you can do with this card, and I'm really excited to see what it can do. And notably, against like a mass edict effect, like if somebody made you sacrifice all of your creatures instead of trying to destroy all of your creatures, this is going to be a way to protect them against that as well.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, if you have this on the battlefield and they go to do that, they're probably going to think twice about doing that because it's not going to get them anywhere.
Right,
But
of course.
I mean, you do kind of telegraph your plan with this on the battlefield, but I think it's fun and would be fun to play with.
Yeah, and yeah, it just it's a very cool design card, and it is just it's just a really feel good card. That's what I want. Next up, we have Rebecca, Architect of Ascension. She is 3 and a white for a 3/4 legendary creature, Human Artificer. Artifacts you control have protection from each converted mana cost among artifacts you control, and she has Partner. So I think this is the first Rebecca card that we've gotten because she's Thran. She's a contemporary of Yawgmoth, actually.
Yeah, talking about our like time streams and stuff.
Yeah, she was the novel The Thran. She's a character in that, and she sort of spoiler alert, she's instrumental in Yawgmoth's undoing, well, at least in him taking over Dominaria. But
Well, she's a Power Stone engineer.
she is, yeah.
Oh wait, no, she's not.
No, that's Glacian.
Yeah.
That's Glacian.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah.
Anyways, really cool ability.
Yeah, like, and it's really like it's really not going to be too difficult to cover most like CMCs from probably like 1 to 6 to protect all of your artifacts with her ability. And like protection is just a difficult mechanic to get around and to actually get rid of. In this scenario, the artifacts that you'll be able to control.
Yeah, and like I guess this is most kind of related to what Padim does, who just gives all your artifacts hexproof. But of course, with protection, we can start swinging, and if you have those CMCs, you actually just can't block the creatures either, which is super cool.
Yeah, exactly.
So, can't block my Jeweled Lotus.
No. No, you're getting that. You're getting that mana.
Oh.
Yeah, she was the chief architect of the Thran Empire, but Glaceon made the Power Stones in the Mana Rig, which we just talked about a couple weeks ago. But she was probably also like suffering from like Power Stone
radiation.
Yeah, radiation. So she was probably like, I'm getting sick. So next up we have Seraphic Greatsword. It's 1 and a white for an equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 whenever equipped creature attacks the player with the most life or tied for most life. Create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying that's tapped and attacking that player, and the equip cost is unfortunately 4.
Unfortunately.
Well,
that's an expensive equip card.
Uh-huh.
The thing that gets me with this card is that it's a mythic.
Yeah.
It
doesn't feel like a mythic.
And
it does not.
Maybe that's more of a draft thing, because if this was a rare, you might, I don't know if you're going to pull 2 of these in a pack. I know that with Commander Legends, you do have the possibility of pulling 3 rares in a pack, or like 3 cards that would be rare or better. But the equip cost is what really gets me on this, because like the 2 mana like this, you could put this in a dedicated equipment deck, and there are ways to get around equip costs, but that's just like adding another card to the mix, and I don't know about that. But
because then also, like, to get that angel, you have to hit the player with the most life. What if you're behind and like the player with the most life just has a bigger board? You're like, well, my creature gets +2/+2. Cool.
Yeah.
Like,
or on the flip side, what if you're the one with the most life?
Yeah, you're just not getting that angel ever.
Yeah, it doesn't say opponents with the most life. It says
players
with
most life.
So there is that. But I put this in here mainly because Balan. I know I brought up Balan already, but Balan's ability his activated ability is 1 and a white to equip all equipment you control to Balan. So this giving Balan +2/+2 and possibly even getting you an angel out of the deal is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and also, Riley, there's no limit to how many times you can bring up Balan on this podcast. Okay.
Well, good, because we're going to call this Balan the Wandering Knight.
Yeah,
that's the name of the episode, just out of context.
Episode 89, Balan the Wandering Knight.
Yeah.
Like, aren't they supposed to be talking about Commander Legends?
Plus some Commander Legends review.
This art also reminds me of Kenshi from Mortal Kombat, because he's like a blind dude with a sword. He's got the bandana wrapped around just like that.
Yeah, that's pretty badass. That's how they know you're blind.
Yeah. Anyways,
next up we have it's our last white card, Slash the Ranks. It's 3 white for a sorcery. Destroy all creatures and planeswalkers except commanders. So I love one-sided board wipes, and I think in a lot of cases this is what this card is going to be. I think about the Commander games that I've been in. There's not a ton of planeswalkers unless it's a dedicated planeswalker deck. There's a few, but they're not overly common. And if opponents don't have their commanders on the battlefield, that's what this card is going to be. I'm just thinking of Commander games that I've played, and how often opponents' commanders on the battlefield, even on turn 5. And this might just be a great way to kind of clean things up. Maybe you've only cast your commander. Maybe your deck only really cares about your commander, especially in a Voltron deck. This card would be
say, that's
perfect.
like my favorite place for this card.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean the episode is titled "Blonde Wandering Knight."
Yeah,
so
he wants this. He wants it bad.
this is the kind of wrath that I would run in Blonde Wandering Knight.
I honestly don't know why they made the art on this two men. They should have made it catfolk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They should have just had Blonde in the photo.
I think that's a flavor fail for sure for the set overall. Yeah.
Yeah. But I could see you running this in your Sigarda deck, Kevin.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So any kind of Voltron build, I think, would appreciate this if obviously you're building your Voltron deck not just around some random card in the 99, but around your commander. I would hope you're doing that.
I hope so. Yeah.
But it's also nice that in those edge case scenarios where somebody is running a Super Friends deck, like this is a Planeswalker Wrath, which is very rare to see.
Yeah, that's quite fair. Does white have many things? Because I know like black has a couple that hit planeswalkers.
Yeah, there's like Planner Cleansing that hits like all non-land permanents.
All non-land permanents, but nothing that specifically says planeswalkers.
Yeah, and like there's In Garrick's Wake, which hits creatures and planeswalkers don't control. Yeah, and I mean even just in a white deck, I think a lot of the time this is going to do a pretty good job of wiping the board for 5 mana.
Yeah.
I think in limited, this isn't going to be as good because there's so many commanders running around. But I don't know how good board wipes are in limited in general.
They can be pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, depending on...
Because especially in limited, if you know what your resources are, you can kind of like hang back a creature maybe or something, wipe their board, and then you have more resources to play with. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and I imagine it will be no different in this kind of format, especially since it's a multiplayer format. So a Wrath is going to be valuable no matter what it looks like.
Well, that's why you guys are always beating me at limited.
You beat me last time. You got second, Kevin.
Fair enough. That was a pretty dodgy limited pool though. We did a chaos draft and it was pretty.
Yes.
All the decks were pretty rough.
Yes.
they were rough feeling. That's
yeah.
for sure.
That's just the risk you take when you do a four player pod.
Especially for chaos.
Absolutely.
Yeah, chaos draft 4-player pod. Yeah, it's gonna bring up some jank.
Okay, let's move on to blue. Yeah, we're gonna blue it on. I'm gonna get blued.
Blue lawn wandering knight.
The lawn.
So the first blue card we have is Amphin Mutineer. It's 3 and a blue for a 3/3 Salamander Pirate. When Amphin Mutineer enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target non-salamander creature. That creature's controller creates a 4/3 blue Salamander Warrior creature token. And it also has Encore. So this is our first Encore card. So the Encore cost on this is 4 blue. And Encore is exile this card from your graveyard. For each opponent, create a token copy that attacks that opponent this turn. If able, they gain haste, sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step, activate only as a sorcery. So, the Encore on this is super cool. The Encore is a super great ability, but... what I love about this card is it's just going to be so easy to abuse that enter the battlefield trigger, and it's a better Pongify or rapid hybridization because it exiles. Yeah, it gives you a slightly bigger creature, and you can't target the tokens. I don't know why you would want to, but
you're gonna exile your 4/3 so you can have a 4/3.
but it has summoning sickness. But I just think from that perspective, it's amazing. And if you do get the Encore, you're taking out 3 or 4 creatures depending on how many people are in your pod. I just love this card.
Yeah, I like Encore. Encore's a really cool mechanic. It kind of reminds me of Myriad, like a one-shot Myriad in a way.
Yeah.
But it usually has either like a sacrifice trigger or an ETB attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of the Salamander, and I'm a big fan that they're supporting pirates. There's going to be a lot more pirates running around. So this is a fun card.
Yeah,
I
we
get
need
behind
like like an underworld breach, but for encore, like creatures in your graveyard gain encore, and their encore cost is equal to their mana cost. Unless they did a
Yeah,
card
there's
in this set that
yeah,
does that.
yeah. There's a Dimir commander that has basically that ability. It's like a tap ability to exile a certain number of cards from your graveyard to give a creature encore, or give creatures in your graveyard encore equal to their CMC. So
Yeah, you know what? I probably read that card and I'm just like regurgitating it now and like forgot it. It's probably not an original idea. Our next blue card is Body of Knowledge. It's 3 blue for a star avatar. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in your hand. You have no maximum hand size, and whenever Body of Knowledge is dealt damage, draw that many cards. Well, this just synergizes with itself fantastically.
Fantastically.
yeah, I would gladly have my opponents chump block this.
Please
Right?
do.
Like, like I think that's the real, like, you're going to be getting in damage. So if you have, say you've already drawn some cards, right? It's like, oh, I have 10 cards in hand. I'm going to swing you for 10. It's like, I don't want to take 10 damage, but then I've also blocked with my 3/3. You draw 3 more cards. Like,
You're
sucks.
damned if you do, damned if you don't with this card.
yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. You can kill me.
Yeah, well, I mean, the alternative is that the game just takes a little bit longer, but I'm still going to lose.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Brynolin, the Moon Kraken. It's 6 blue for a 6/8 legendary Kraken. When it enters the battlefield, or whenever you cast a spell with CMC 6 or greater, you may return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, and it has partner. What is this like? I mean, I don't know if this is going to see commander play, but this is Riley. Is this more of a limited card?
Well, it's 8 mana, so I don't know. It really depends on how this limited format shapes out in particular. I'm sure if you have a nice like Sea Monster ramp deck, you are playing a multiplayer game, you probably have more of an opportunity to get to this mana cost in a multiplayer game than opposed to like a 1v1 kind of limited set.
Yeah.
If this was just an 8 mana 6/8 that gave you this ability whenever you cast a 6 mana or greater card, I would say no, this is not a good card. But we'll have to see how it shapes out with Commander Legends limited play.
I think like a nice like green blue like ramp deck.
Yeah.
You got some like bigger stuff in there. Maybe you can throw this inside of oh, Riley, what's your like that blue green one you made with the companion?
Karuga.
Chulane.
Yeah, Karuga.
Yeah, that's his Chulane deck with Karuga.
Karuga.
Yeah.
Everything is already like 3 or greater, and it's like you probably have a bunch of 6 or greater stuff you could like do things with if you were to go that way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's just automatically that way, but you could take a deck in that route.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Brynolin is what I would want to run in that Chulane deck. Because if I'm not ramping with that deck, I want to be casting some finishers. And
like I wasn't saying your deck in particular, but I'm saying for a Karuga deck, you could take it in the thing where you could have like more 6-drops and then take advantage of the Brynolin.
Yep.
Next up, we have Court of Cunning. It's 1 blue for an enchantment. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. At the beginning of your upkeep, any number of target players each mills 2 cards. If you're the monarch, each of those players mills 10 cards instead. So this card does synergize well with an upcoming card that we're going to talk about in blue, but this would also be great with Paradox Haze because you get that additional upkeep trigger. It would also be great with Fraying Sanity because whatever a player, I think the cursed player with Fraying Sanity, whatever they milled that turn, they have to mill again. And of course, the Bruvik the Grandiloquent, he would be fantastic with this card because you have to mill double. So anything that makes you mill double is really going to accelerate this effect. And we've gotten several good mill support cards in the last few sets, and this just complements them really well.
Yeah, this is a great mill card for Commander.
I had a mill deck once upon a time. It was Dimir. and I wasn't really dealing a lot of combat damage. So the thing is, if you lose Monarch, it could be difficult to get it back. That would be my only concern with using this card to accelerate your mill plan. But even if you're not the Monarch, you're still getting a mill effect, so it's not it's not zero value.
Yeah, you don't need the Monarch for it to do its thing, but obviously that's where a lot of the power comes from.
Yeah, and it's I definitely love the Monarch, and any card that gives me the Monarch is going to be a fun card to play, but it's also not that defensive. And yeah, I think Kevin, you hit it on the head with like most mill strategies. You're not that aggressive, so if you lose the Monarchy, you're probably going to have a difficult time getting it back.
Yeah. Definitely. And Riley, I think in upcoming deck tech we need to do is you building a Monarch tribal deck.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm into it.
So our next blue card is sorry, I just lost my place here. Is Elegeth Crossroads Augur. It's 4 blue for a legendary Sphinx. It's 5/6 and it has flying. If you would scry a number of cards, draw that many cards instead, and it has partner.
Get wrecked.
Yeah, get wrecked is right. Yeah. So I mean, turning scry into card draw, what more do you want? I mean, the only thing that this is missing is that like you have no maximum hand size, and this card would be perfect. So yeah, this is just I just love that effect, and that's really all I have to say about it.
Yeah, I can just like picture like running this as a commander and having Preordain and Serum Visions and just drawing 3 for 1 mana. That sounds really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes those spells very
that's
powerful.
why Ancestral Recall is banned.
Also, like Ugin's Insight, you scry to the greatest power among creatures you control and then draw 3 cards.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Or maybe draw 2. But anyways.
Yeah, so with
you're
this,
gonna draw 7.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, if you like scrying and you like drawing, you're going to like this guy.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Fall from Favor. It's 2 and a blue for an aura enchant creature. When it enters the battlefield, tap enchanted creature, and you become the monarch. Enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step unless that player is the monarch. Man, it's just the more you write monarch on a card, the more I like it.
Yeah, this has a very unique way that it works as well, because obviously this is an effect that we see with blue a lot, but now they're just like throwing the monarch flavor into it. So
yeah, and it's a great in those mill decks. This is a great way to steal the monarch back without dealing combat damage.
Yeah, for sure. It's a nice way to lock down a commander if you are running it in commander, because of course it's remains on the battlefield. But I've also seen some people talking about this card being potentially Pauper playable, because of course Pauper loves the monarchy ability, and this is a common, so it might pop up there.
That's true, and I don't know if Thorn of the Dusk Rose made it onto our blacklist, but that is also a fantastic Pauper card and a much needed reprint. Like there's a few conspiracy cards that got reprints in this set, and just the foil prices of those cards are way more expensive than they should be. So it's really nice to see them reprinted here, because it's going to reduce the prices of those cards.
For sure.
So next up we have Forceful Denial. It's 3 blue for an instant. It has Cascade, and you get to counter target spell. Just it's a solid counter. I like this. I don't know if I've seen this card before looking at it right now. I really like this card.
Obviously I really like counter spells. This card I think is so cool. We get to counter spell, but it has Cascade. Like, I love that.
Well, it's like it replaces itself, right? It's like counter spell. It's like counter a spell, and like you're getting card advantage because you get to put something on the battlefield.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Hopefully you consider the deck that you're putting this into, because I can imagine if you are running more than one counter spell, then Forceful Denial does have the opportunity to hit another counterspell, and that's going to be kind of a sad moment. So
Mhm.
if you're kind of light on the counterspells and you can kind of build your deck towards gaining a notable advantage from this, then it could be pretty fun.
Next up, we have Hull Breacher. It's 2 and a blue for a 3/2 Merfolk Pirate. It has flash. If an opponent would draw a card except the first one they draw in each of their draw steps, instead you create a treasure token. So this is kind of like a Notion Thief kind of card.
Not as powerful,
No,
but
no, but just
equally as annoying for your opponents.
yeah, like you're gonna want to cast this if somebody casts a big draw spell, or maybe you cast like a wheel and then you play this, and you know you get all that. Like that would be
that is, oh man.
like I can
that is
imagine
gross.
like Trevor putting this in his Nekuzar deck and just fucking wrecking us with this.
Yeah, but unfortunately it would replace the draw effect, so Nekuzar wouldn't trigger.
Yeah, you're right.
Right?
You're right. But
But you do leave your opponents with an empty hand.
Yeah. If you want to, not have friends.
But with the wheel, would that player that that if somebody cast a wheel and then that same player cast a Hull Breacher in response, the Hull Breacher resolves and then the wheel resolves, would they get to create 21 treasures?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I just wanted to make sure that
Yeah, assuming they're drawing, like each of your opponents are drawing 7 cards.
I'm like Wheel of Fortune, so they would draw 21 cards total. Cool.
Yeah, and with a windfall, like if somebody has more than 7 cards in hand, then they're quote unquote drawing the highest number of cards discarded, right? So it could be even more or less with a windfall effect.
This is also like so terrifying, being out on the open sea and there's just this merfolk pirate that like lives in the water and he's just grabbing onto your ship and literally ripping the hull open so he can get your treasure. And then once he has your treasure, he's going to dive back into the ocean and you're fucked.
Your boat's leaking.
Yeah.
You got a hole in that boat.
You're done. You're done.
Yeah.
Next up, we have a fantastic reprint. We have Mana Drain. It's 2 blue for an instant counter target spell. At the beginning of your next main phase, add an amount of colorless mana equal to that spell's converted mana cost. I was really surprised to see this reprinted. It was creeping back up again. I remember how cheap this card got when Iconic Masters came out, and I don't know if it's going to dip down that much again because Commander is incredibly popular, even with the pandemic going on. Yeah, this is just a fantastic reprint. This is a fantastic card. This was, this is definitely first pickable in a draft.
Yes, if you want over $100, yes.
You're like, should I take the $100 bill or?
But even then, it is a fantastic card in draft.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure it's gonna be. I mean, people play Counterspell and they play Mana Drain in Commander, so it's not gonna be any different for Commander Legends draft.
Yeah, it's just a better. It is a better Counterspell.
Yeah, this definitely went down in price before with its reprint. I wish I picked one up back then, so we'll see how low it goes this time, and hopefully snag one of these guys.
Yeah, like I think I picked one up for about $60. And threw to my Narset deck.
Yeah, you did it
and
right.
It's just so like in those decks, you counter an early play, and in my Narset deck, it just allows me to play Narset on an earlier turn. Like once I have the Jeskai mana assembled, I just need that colorless mana, and so like in those decks, it's just it's really essential. But I think it's gonna dip down quite a bit. Like this copy is well under $100 even at pre-release, so I think it is gonna dip back down. But that's the thing about these Commander staples. Like we're gonna talk about Vampiric Tutor next week, but they do dip. These reprints do have an effect, but it's fleeting. So So
Yes.
so pick these up if you need them, and if you don't want to pay the money, you can always just make your own or get them printed by a proxy maker online, and it's essentially the same thing.
Don't bring proxies to your LGS.
No,
But,
I'm
you know,
not saying that.
kitchen table.
No. Kitchen table. Keep a kitchen table. Thank you, Riley.
Yeah.
Yes. Next up, we have Merchant Raiders. It's 3 and a blue for a 2/4. It's a human pirate. When it or another pirate enters the battlefield under your control, tap up to one target creature. That creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step for as long as you control Merchant Raiders. I love cards like this that you can, like Vidalcan Shackles, where you can just keep a creature tap down and out of the mix. And a lot of times creatures have activated abilities that want you to tap them. And so this can deal with problem commanders as well.
Yeah, it reminds me of like a Dungeon Geist that turns all of your pirates into a Dungeon Geist.
Yeah.
Yeah, like obviously if you have a pirate deck, like this is awesome.
Yeah, it's a nice way to keep blockers tapped down.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be a nice defensive, nice offensive card. And it looks like a lot of fun for pirates.
Next up, we have Mnemonic Deluge. It's 6 blue, so 9 mana for a sorcery. Exile target instant or sorcery card from a graveyard. Copy that card 3 times. You may cast the copies without paying their mana costs. Exile Mnemonic Deluge. So when I saw this card, I immediately thought about, all the things I could cast out of any graveyard, of course. But I also thought about copying this on the stack, because yes, you have to exile it, but you could still copy it on the stack and hit something else in a graveyard. And I think it's always fun to think about what's going to be in our opponent's graveyards. Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? But I'm more of a sure thing kind of guy, so I like to just have awesome stuff in my graveyard. And looking at this card, I immediately thought about having like extra turn spells in my graveyard. And if you hit like a time warp or a time stretch, even better with this card, and you can copy it, you probably won the game.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, and of course, like there are like quote unquote fun things you could do with this card. And that's the thing about fun. It's subjective. What I just described is fun for me, but what's fun for you may be different. Like this card, this card is like an I win the game card, but it could also be, you could also copy,
Rampant Growth.
Yeah, Rampant Growth. There's one. Or like you could copy like Illicit Auction 3 times, which is like I think it's like from Mirage. Like you choose a creature and then each player starts bidding life on that creature, and whoever gets the highest bid takes the card. So you can do all kinds of crazy things with this card.
Yeah,
like I think like bribery would be a really fun one.
Yeah. Oh, bribery is good too. But yeah, like going back to I immediately thought about like this card is very powerful, but if you can copy it, like it's just nuts. No matter what you do with it.
Yes.
Nuts.
Like if you want to do something fun and make the game take longer, you can do that. Or if you want to do something like take extra turns and just win the game, you can do that too. It's just it's the world is your oyster with a card like this.
Yeah,
if you have the mana.
This card's fun.
Gotta have the mana. Yeah, or you can cheat it. You can cheat cast it. So next up, we have another reprint. It's Muldrifter. It's 4 and a blue for a 2/2 elemental with flying. When it enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards, and it has Evoke for 2 and a blue. And you may cast the spell for its Evoke cost. If you do, it's sacrificed when it enters the battlefield. Classic. And they pumped it back up to uncommon.
Yeah. It's awesome to see them reprint the Muldrifter, though.
I love Muldrifter.
Yeah, it's a great card.
Yep.
Sweet.
Episode 89, Muldrifter. Next up, we have Sakashima of 1,000 Faces. It's 3 and a blue for a 3/1 legendary human rogue. You may have it enter the battlefield as a copy of another creature you control, except it has Sakashima of 1,000 Faces' other abilities. The legend rule doesn't apply to permanents you control, and it has partner. I feel like this is just rife with combo potential.
I love how they brought back Sakashima, and it's one of the ones that gets like the 3 card things. There's Sakashima and himself, and then 2 other cards that go with it. So I love all 3 of these cards. I am super in. Blue is my favorite color in the set, apparently. But yeah. Like, this is just so much fun. Just being able to copy stuff like this. Like, oh, man.
Yeah.
All the copy shenanigans. Yes.
Yeah, I love the mirror gallery effect of the Legends rule not applying.
Yeah.
There's just so much fun stuff you can do with clone effects and copy effects.
Yeah.
That it's going to be awesome just to have like a billion legendaries.
Yeah. I want to make a legendary just combo.
So next up we have Sakashima's Protege. It's 4 blue for a 3/1 shapeshifter with flash and cascade. You may have it enter the battlefield as a copy of any permanent that entered the battlefield this turn. So
it has flash, so we can copy anything that entered.
That's right. So you can take anything.
Yeah. You could even take whatever you cascade into, assuming it's, I guess, any permanent, eh?
Yeah,
yeah.
Any permanent.
Yeah.
Could even be a land, eh?
Yeah.
It could even be a land.
It could be one of those Gaia's cradles, eh?
But, again, I'm a huge fan of Cascade. It's one of my favorite, just like keywords.
Oh, it's so much value.
It's so much value. And then being able to copy something with this card that is doing the Cascade for you. Pretty sweet.
For sure.
I see it's not in the list, but I did also throw Sakashima's Will in there.
No, it's on the list. It's a 3 and a blue for a sorcery. Choose one. If you control a commander, as you cast the spell, you may choose both. Target opponent chooses a creature they control. You gain control of it. And choose a creature you control. Each other creature you control becomes a copy of that creature until end of turn. Oh, that's super broken.
That's fun. So good.
Yeah, I love the will cycle. The will cycle is really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, making all of your creatures one of your creatures really reminds me of like Brutaclad with the tokens.
Yeah,
but now we can just choose like any creature we want.
Yeah, if you have Sakashima out and the legend rule doesn't apply, you could pick one of your legendaries.
Yeah. And then of course this is really neat too, because if you do have a player out there that only has a couple good things, like good creatures on the board, you can be like, hey, I'll take one of those.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is definitely, again, just like rife with combo potential. Just all the things you can do. I'm sure we're going to, I think this set is going to, reel through the format for just years to come. I hope they're not planning on doing another one of these this time next year, because I don't think we're going to be able to handle it. Well, we might be so happy that the pandemic is ending that we'll be like, yeah, Commander Legends 2. I don't know.
We can actually go out and draft it. Yeah.
So next up, we have Sphinx of the Second Sun. It's 6 blue for a 6/6 Sphinx with flying. At the beginning of your post-combat main phase, you get an additional beginning phase after this phase. The beginning phase includes the untap, upkeep, and draw step. So this was the card I was talking about when I was talking about a card that synergizes with Court of Cunning, because this would give you the additional upkeep effect of that card. But even if you're not running a deck that has a lot of upkeep triggers, you're still getting the untap step, the draw step. Like, you're still getting like that sort of sword and feast and famine effect. And I think we all know how powerful that is. So yes, you can put this in a deck that gives you that has a lot of upkeep effects, and that's going to be really powerful. But I think just throwing this in like a Flyers deck or a Sphinx deck is not going to be a bad decision either.
Yeah, I really want to just like, now that the this Sphinx is here, really go for like an upkeep style,
upkeep tribal
triggers deck.
Yeah, like with blue braids.
Yeah. Blue braids. Get that Paradox Haze in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
That would be very cool.
Be fun.
Yeah.
And this would work very well with blue braids as well, because you could just put it onto the battlefield with braids.
Can't we just say braids, because black braids is banned?
Well, I just, let me have this.
I guess we don't want to mislead anybody, because not everybody knows that's banned. I
mean, you could sacrifice this with black braids.
Yeah, I started. I did at one time. I did start like building a deck online with black braids, and then I later found out that it was banned, and it was a good thing because I would have started to buy cards for it. So
yeah, and lose friends.
Double. But if you guys haven't stopped playing with me after the decks I've played against you, I don't think there's anything I could do to make you leave me alone.
No, we're just the last ones left.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. or you're the last ones left, or you're the ones that I've cultivated you're the best. You're the best of the best.
Aww.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kevin.
Oh, you got it.
I mean, that's an option. You're not saying that, but
I mean, he was saying he cultivated you.
Yeah. No, but in all honesty, I do like playing with you guys, like our Commander play group, because I do feel like you're all in your own ways. You're all better at Magic than me, whether it's playing or like knowledge of the game or deck building. And I think whatever your niche is, I think you should surround yourself with people that are better at it than you, so that you get better at it.
Yeah, so that you can get better and grow and such.
Yeah.
Yeah. All that fun stuff.
Yes, it's just growing up. So our last blue card here, it's a fun one. It's Wrong Turn. It's 2 and a blue for an instant. Target opponent gains control of target creature. And in brackets here, it says if an attacking or blocking creature changes controllers, it's removed from combat. And I like that they put that, because I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like a Ray of Command kind of interaction, like where Ray of Command is 3 and a blue to gain control of a creature and untap it and gains haste. But it's an instant speed effect, so usually you'd see a treachery kind of effect as a sorcery speed. But the nice thing about it is you can mess up combat, not only take the creature out of combat, but use it to block.
Mm-hmm.
But with Wrong Turn, it's really funny because you can switch your opponent's creatures with another opponent if you really wanted to, or you could give, if you have like a kind of like a charity style deck where you want to give a permanent to somebody, or a creature in this case, then you can use this to give it to them. But yeah, I like the idea of being able to mess up somebody's combat and give somebody the opportunity to trade off favorably with another creature that's attacking. It would be a lot of fun just to have that like political mind game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, for sure.
And I love the flavor
Fun
text.
stuff.
Yeah, it's bewildered Bello was met with a stern shh.
He's in a library.
It's like this beast is like, oh, how did I end up here?
All right, well, with that, we are going to bring this episode to a close. Thank you for listening, of course, and Ainsley, thank you for the work that you do. We're going to be back next week to continue our set review, and in the meantime, you can let us know if we've missed any cards that you're looking forward to playing with from Commander Legends. We'll be back, of course. We're doing this in Wooburg order, so it's going to be black and red and maybe green. We'll have to see what happens. I feel like we went off on a Pokemon tangent here, and that probably took about 10 minutes. Sorry about that, everybody.
The people need to know, Kevin.
They do need to know. They need to know. Well, why are there bad cards if it's not draftable? I don't get it. But as always, thank you for listening. And we're going to be doing Commander Legends for the next few weeks. So, enjoy it, because that's what we're doing. You can find me on Instagram at Command Beacon. Riley, give us your social medias.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Riley_Dayton, or on Twitter at Riles Dayton. I don't know.
There you go.
Just find me somewhere.
Yeah.
I probably commented on Turn 1 Soul Rings post sometime.
Yeah. And we'll be back next week, like I said. Thank you for listening, everybody, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Watch out for Sakashima.
Turn one soul ring.
Unfortunately, that's the end of the episode. There's no more white cards to talk about in this Balan Wandering Night.
Thanks for listening to
Thanks
our
for
Balan
listening.
episode.
Yeah.
So I've been playing Standard again.
Oh, yeah? How's it going?
Yeah. I'm enjoying it a lot more.
That's good.
I think finally it's in a place where like there just isn't this like super oppressive like deck strategy that everyone's going towards.
Yeah, there's a few potential strategies that seem to combat each other pretty well.
Yeah.
It's usually
it is
what I
still-
like to see in a game is not just one strategy.
Yeah. Gruul Adventures is still the most popular,
Yeah.
but then after that I think it's all single digits for popularity in terms of the decks and stuff, so
That's good.
in percentage wise, so.
Yeah, I haven't been playing a ton of Arena. I've actually been playing a lot more Legends of Runeterra.
Which is
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I really like that game. I think it's really well made.
It is very fun. I like it a lot, actually. It's,
Yeah.
And it seems to be fairly engaging for free to play.
Like they have a really good model for free to play, I feel.
Yeah.
And then just like the mechanics of the game take some really good ideas from Magic, take some really good ideas from Hearthstone, and they're just like putting it together really nicely.
Yeah, and I like how, like, I honestly I could never really get behind the whole attacking with your face thing that Hearthstone does, you know?
Yeah.
Like basically using your character or your hero as a weapon. Like
Yeah.
Hearthstone was pretty fun. I never really got into it very deeply, but I feel like Runeterra is definitely a balance between the two. And I like the mana system. I really like the mana system in Runeterra, just with how you can retain up to 3 spell
For
mana.
spells.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's a really unique that idea, whoever had that when making that game, super incredible. Like that's really good.
Yeah, it's really fun.
And then like it is quite flavorful to the game as well, being like, you know, your tower is like your health pool and stuff. But then of course champions are something very unique to that game, and really what gives it its own like kind of identity as well is just how the champions work.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I've been playing some of the expeditions, and those are pretty fun.
Yeah, they are pretty neat, which is like how you build the deck, and then you can kind of like pivot a little bit, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been
I
having
don't think I've had 3 different races together yet. I think I've always done 2.
I have. I had like this weird Tom Kench life gain build with like 3 different races, and it was focused on like units that dealt damage themselves when they entered, but also units that healed my allies in Nexus whenever they entered. So it was, like if you got Tom Kench on the battlefield and managed to keep him alive, that guy just takes over the game.
That must be a new one.
Tom Kench is like, I think he's a 4-drop, and he's a 2/6, and at the beginning of each round, you get an acquired taste fleeting card in your hand. So
What does it do? What does acquired taste do?
Acquired taste basically makes him capture a unit, but the unit strikes him when they're captured. So, yeah,
It's an acquired taste.
Yeah, but if you eat 3 of the opponent's units, then he levels up, and he obliterates the units that he's eaten so far.
Holy!
And then from then on he becomes like a 3/7 or something like that, and whenever he attacks, he obliterates whatever unit is captured under him. So he still generates those acquired taste cards. So basically, like every round, if you're able to keep him on the board and keep him healed, he's like removing a unit from their side of the battlefield, and it's really impressive.
Sounds like good stuff.